In today's lesson, we're going to multiply and divide rational expressions, which is just like you did in the earlier grades, grade 9 and grade 10. When you multiplied fractions, you just multiply numerator by the other numerator, denominator by denominator. So in this example here, we always want to check first to see if we can cancel out. So our x minus 1 and our x minus 1 is the same, so those can cancel out because it's multiplication in between. If that was addition or subtraction, it would be different. Our x minus 2 is the same, that can cancel out. So we're left with a final answer of x plus 3. We always want to be sure that we don't forget our restrictions. X cannot be equal to 1 or 2 in this example here. So in our next example, we can't cancel anything out yet because we still have some factoring that needs to be done. So of the first numerator, I'm going to factor out 2a. That leaves me with a plus 3. And in the denominator, I just leave that 7 multiplied by 3. In the denominator here, I have a difference of squares. So I can square root the first term, square root the second term, and then write it again. So now here I can look to see if anything can cancel out. And our a plus 3, those both cancel out. Now I can multiply numerator by numerator. So 2a multiplied by 3 gives me 6a. And our 7, let's just write it as an extra step that you don't necessarily need, is going to multiply by a minus 3. So in this step here, we need to do distributive property. So this will leave us with 7a minus 21. There is no canceling out that we can do here. Keep that in mind because there's subtraction in between. So our a's cannot be canceled with each other. That question is finished. We just state our restrictions. A cannot be equal to negative 3 or positive 3. In this question here, again, before we can do any canceling out, we have a fair amount of factoring to do because all 4 of those sections, both numerators, both denominators, need decomposition done to them. So it's always good to label your work, but keep it off to the side, and then we can bring it back into our fractions. So our first decomposition would be with the first numerator. So we have 2x squared plus 4x plus 1x plus 2. Then we factor by grouping and factor out a 2x, which leaves me with x plus 2, x plus 2. So our first numerator, so at this point we need to be decomposition pros so that we can get through our other work with rationals fairly quickly. So our numerator is x plus 2, 2x plus 1. Now we need to do decomposition to the denominator. So 4x squared minus 8x minus 5. Our magic numbers, decomposing that, negative 20, it has to add to be negative 8, so that would be negative 10x plus 2x minus 5. Factor by grouping. And then you can see here that our denominator is going to be 2x minus 5, 2x plus 1. There's always a 1 there, even if it is not shown. We never assume that that there is a 0. And then you continue on with the other numerator. So that would be 30, so we'll use 6 and 5, negative 6x, negative 5x. And then some grouping. And we can take our final answer up here. So we're going to have x minus 3, 2x minus 5. And then our very last one that we have to do, 3x squared plus 6x plus 1x plus 2. If this is a little bit, this side work is a little bit fast for you, then you need to go back and review and practice your decomposition rules from our earlier days. And there it is. Everything is now in place that we can see if there's anything that we can cancel out. So we're going to start with x plus 2, x plus 2, 2x minus 5, that's nice, 2x minus 5. And our 2x plus 1, 2x plus 1 also cancels out. So we're left with x minus 3, 3x plus 1, and it's important that we don't go any further. Our very last step would be to state all of our restrictions. So first one, negative 1/3, negative 1/2, negative 2, and positive 5/2. At this time, I'll lower the screen and then you can see the steps that we just went through. You always want to factor first, multiply numerators and denominators together, reduce or cancel out, and then of course state your restrictions. Just a quick review up here where you can see our division of fractions. Our rules for division of fractions is that you always take the second fraction, take the reciprocal of it, which means to flip it upside down, essentially, make the numerator the denominator, the denominator the numerator, and then you can change division to multiplication when you do that. So I'm going to do a little bit at once here. I'm going to first do my trinomial, because it's nice and easy for my numerator. I'm going to factor that. I'm going to factor my denominator. I see that I have a difference of squares here. And now this here is where I'll take the reciprocal of my fraction and change it to multiplication. I see that I'm going to need decomposition, so I'm going to have a little bit of work to do off to the side there. And this is a nice easy trinomial, so I'm going to get that out of the way right there. So I'm going to do decomposition for the one that I need to. So I have 5x squared minus 10x plus 1x minus 2. And again, I've just got a small mistake there. I'm just going to remove, there was no x there ever in the question. So now we can factor by grouping. And we're all set. We can put in our final step in here rather than that number. So I maybe even wanted to do it right there instead of having to rewrite all of this. But what I did notice actually as I was starting to work here on the bottom, see, as I was rewriting, these both still have x's. So those actually can be factored a little bit further. So I'm going to do that right now in this step as well to save myself some time. So for my first binomial, I can factor out an x, and that leaves me with x minus 2. And I can factor out 1 from there too. X plus 2 multiplied by 5x plus 1, x minus 2, all over x minus 2. Now it's time to see, of course, if we can do any canceling. Those go, my x plus 1 goes, and my x plus 2. So all I'm left with on the top is 5x plus 1. On the bottom, I am left with x minus 2, x squared. And that's as far as I can go. There's no more canceling that can be done. I just state my restrictions and make sure that I haven't missed any all the way through. So I've got negative 2, negative 1, 0, and positive 2. The steps are very similar here, and they're written down below. I'll scroll down. That you still factor first. You rewrite as multiplication after taking the reciprocal. You multiply, you reduce, and then you state your restrictions. I'm going to leave you with one example to do on your own that you can come to class with tomorrow, and it's E down here.